put 2 more sandwich grills.
I see. Lots of work.
Because we can't, it's starting to pack up and we haven't even filled these yet.
The paninis are delicious.
And I put 3 new grills, there's another one coming. These 2 are just holding up the
So
show.
1, 2, and then I
3, 4,
just see 2.
Yeah, there's one more coming.
One more.
And I need more power and I can't bring it. When we did this thing back in '69, we ran a whole bunch, we thought was a whole bunch of power up here. But it's
Oh,
barely
before
enough.
paninis.
Before paninis came along with their 1,700 and 3,800 watts.
It's worth the juice.
So let's let the grilling begin.
Are we run on air?
We're on. We're going.
Oh, good.
We're toasty.
Okay. You can cut out the first part.
Normal sandwiches.
Right.
That always gets a laugh. That's
Normal.
normal.
Well, I mean,
Do
you mean the thing
paninis
that I
fall into
put?
that category?
No, they don't.
So we start out about how did you come to own your own buildings, but it even goes more deeply than that. About tell me how. I mean, you were born in West Seattle, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
My
and
grandfather.
born into the business.
Born in the business.
So, can you take us through the history of your business through the buildings it's been in?
Okay. In 1932, my grandfather bought a business called Edgewood Farms, which was at 4735 California, which is now the card shop, the card section of Northwest Art. We were right next door to Blake's Bakery, and we were in that space from 1932 to 1969.
What kind of business was that? Dairy?
It was just a little tiny grocery store.
Grocery store.
And next to us on this side was Bailey's Market. Next to Bailey's Market was Safeway. Next to Safeway was a coffee shop. And where we are now, 4721, was A&P. I got a picture that says Atlantic and Pacific on the top, in front of the building. So everybody shopped every day. You know, they had a chunk of ice in the ice box, and they went out and bought stuff every day. There was no Costco.
There was no deep freezer.
No. Okay. And so, in 1969, my dad.
Can I stop you?
Okay.
32 to 69 was the card part of Northwest Art. Did your family own the building?
No.
Okay.
Okay. And in 1969, my dad moved into this spot here, which is 4721. And it was previously, before this, it was Rasco Drugs. And it sat empty for a couple of years, and he wanted to expand. So he moved down here, and we were still, there's a couple pictures I got where the sign that we redid up here is still down the street, and we had the Husky on the windows here. So there was a moment where we were in transition there. But yeah, we moved here in '69, and then
And you were the tenant.
we were the tenant. In 1991, I think it was 91, we bought. Wyckoff went to develop their property in Winslow, and opened up a can of worms, and ended up selling a lot of their commercial property. They owned a lot in the Junction. They owned the Captain's Table on Elliott Avenue. They sold that too, and they sold us from here to where Nouveau is now in one chunk. And then we also
Who
bought.
did they sell that to specifically? Was it your father or you?
It was no, my father was gone by then. It was the Miller family.
Okay.
And then
the
Miller family.
So here and
Here, the Japanese restaurant, Mexican restaurant, Northwest Art, and Bakery Nouveau.
that must have been a huge step for your family.
Oh, it was huge. But, it was all, we need to save the Huskies, so we need to do whatever we need to do. Because there was another guy who wanted to buy it all.
Huh. So what was part of
You
the
know he was.
what was the thought process? You said you needed to save the Husky, but buying property, that's huge. I mean, that's an investment.
Well, I mean, we were planning on being here So it's the first opportunity we'd had to buy it. So we bought that, and then a couple years later, Petco came up for sale. At the point then it was Tradewell, and they had just gone out of business. And we bought that. Actually, my brother Joe did, and he also got the parking lot behind it.
Doc Easley's.
Right, this side of Doc Eastley's.
Yeah.
And when the monorail came along, they wanted to put their station back there, so they took it away from us. Pretty much told me, here's what you did. Like it, And so we sold that, or Joe sold that, and then as soon as they did that, then the city told us we had to split up Petco into 3 or 4 spaces because there was no parking.
Wait, what?
They told us that Petco wasn't big enough. Well, it was too big of a business to have no parking. So we had to divvy up the building.
The Petco building.
Right.
So you parceled it.
Well,
on
no.
paper.
They wanted us to, and Joe at that point didn't want to do that, so he sold it to a guy who somehow managed to keep Petco there, even though they didn't have parking. And then he turned around and sold it to Compass, or whoever it was that he sold it to.
The Wolf
Group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Compass built it.
So you only had it for a while. Or Joe. only
15
had it for-
years.
Yeah.
And that was actually a really nice building. Well built. But it was. Joe didn't want to deal with all that, and he didn't know that he was going to turn around and sell it. They did.
And then where does the Sleepers building come into play?
My dad had bought that in like 1970.
Okay.
I think because he couldn't buy from Wyckoff, he just wanted to have a piece of the Junction. And that was when Wigwam it was empty after Wigwam left. And the building was it's kind of a disaster. The floors were so bad, it would have made a great skating rink for the kids, the skateboard rink, because it's up and down, up and down. So he put leveled it off with wood floor and put a light concrete skim coat on it, and now it's back to where it was almost again. It's going up and down.
So it was Wigwam, and then it was Perry's Furniture?
Perry's Furniture, and the reason Perry went in there mainly is because there's no plumbing in it, and there's also it can't take the weight. If you put a whole bunch of stuff on the floor, it would. And furniture's about as light as you can get. And then Carlos bought Perry's from Perry from him, and he's still there.
So, maybe this gets philosophical, but why own a piece of the Junction? Why is it important for your family to invest in the Junction?
Junction is a sacred place. Ask anybody who owns property here. It's just such a great little business area. And it's so West Seattle, It's, you want to own something so you don't get bumped out,
Yeah.
This is kind of skipping ahead, but is it owning something to keep it what it is, or is it owning something so that you have an investment for the future, or is it both of those?
A little of both, And at the time, I'm sure it was in case Wyckoff did something, he would have someplace in the Junction still.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
The Junction's gone up and down through all kinds of stuff since, but it was a good hedge, I think.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And as we've learned, real estate's not a bad investment anymore.
Correct.
Especially if you bought it a long time ago.
Looks like he has got in at the right time then.
Yeah.
So can you go through the buildings that you own and say what you love about them and what you don't love? Like the Sleepers building, you've talked about the challenges there, but
Yeah.
what are the good things about the buildings that you own?
Well, they have a bit of character. I mean,
Is there a name to this building?
I don't think so. They all, most of them have, like, there's windows above our windows here. There's also upper windows, kind of like at Easy Street, over at the Sleepers building. There is pretty much the whole way. They've all been covered up because I think in the 70s and 80s it wasn't cool to have that for some reason. We've got skylights here that we haven't opened up. They're right above the chandeliers. And there's skylights in the Sleepers building also. But structurally, they're not in real great shape. Mainly because they're sitting on a float pond, and everything's settling all the time.
Spring Hill.
They, there's, if you went down underneath the slab, there's an airspace that you can crawl around in when it used to be on the dirt, and there's pilings sticking up, and some of them settled with the dirt, and some of them didn't.
Underneath here today.
Where we're sitting on. Yeah. So, and that's that way all the way up and down the junction. If you went to Northwest Art and looked real close, you'd see that it's kind of wavy in there. But nobody notices, and they're old, neat buildings. I mean, businesses, and so you don't really notice those things. I mean, it doesn't really bother me, other than things happen that you gotta fix. Our front window cracked, and I had to put a new sign up because it settled so bad that the glass broke. And that's why this sign is up there. That used to be our sign there.
Right.
Yeah. That plate just cracked in half almost. Took out the corner of the H. You can still see it. But yeah. But the buildings are all, the main thing is where they are. I think it's the most, at least in the past, it's been the most advantageous place to be in the junction. You got parking behind, you're right smack in the middle. You're on the busy side of the street, at least it used to be. It seemed like everything did well on this side for a long time until Elliott Bay came. Nothing really did anything over there.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. But now that Elliott's there, and then they came in with finally with the Irish pub, and they were doing bang up for a while. So the business will get there.
So it's that old thing of location.
Location. I felt like this was the best location in the junction, right here, where we are. We got a back door, easy accessible back door, 3 parking lots behind us. Nobody has that.
So you've done a lot to enhance or maintain, at least.
Mainly maintain.
Not enhance.
Yeah.
But you're getting there. You're talking about a second floor here.
No, not so much here.
Not here? I thought
Well,
you
I
were
mean,
talking
I
about
was hoping.
a loft.
A loft. That could be in the future.
Okay.
I don't want to say anything until I do it.
Okay.
But the way things are changing, I think we're going to need more seating. I mean, I'd love to have an ice cream soda fountain with booths. I mean, I think we do well, especially coming up. I mean, we've got the means to expand the things, and I think we can work with this building somehow. Even though it is a little up and down.
That's also part of the character, I would imagine.
It is part of the character. I mean, people like one guy came from Bellevue. He just came in here and he just moved, and he said, "You're going to remodel this, aren't you?" This is a dump. And I said, "No, this is the way it is. Are you new to West Seattle?" And he said, "We just bought a house here."
Welcome.
And I said, well, Bellevue's only 15 minutes away if you miss that kind of stuff. Can I take a break to tell these guys something?
Yeah.
Hey, guys. What's
This
that?
place is a dump, and I just moved here.
Yeah, no. Okay.
So how, for your buildings, how do you select your uses or your tenants?
Well, we've never had to even change a tenant practically since we bought the building.
Right.
I mean, we've had such great ones.
You
And the
let that-
rent is cheap, so they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, which is, I think, is a smarter way to do things.
Mm-hmm.
You say the rent is cheap as though somebody else said it, but it's you.
Well, it was cheap when they got it, you know, from Wyckoff, and we haven't raised it much.
You have new tenants, like you allowed the bakery in.
Well, the bakery was one, yeah.
Mhm.
That was a really find.
Yeah.
Yeah, William came and he had just won the award and wanted to start his own business. And it was just, the timing was perfect. Orchini's was done,
Mhm.
so we snuck him right in there.
Yeah.
And he just took off like a rocket.
What luck for us.
Yeah.
But the rents, you are consciously keeping them low
I mean, you have
to
to
keep the tenant.
keep the tenants. I mean, the idea is to keep your tenants here. You know, to have constant turnover in the months it's vacant, you're not going to make up for it in raising the rent. You know. So,
And then do you feel like frequent turnover has an effect on the rest of the junction in your business?
well, our little section here, I think, is a solid little section. I think we're always going to do okay. The rest of the junction has been changing hands forever. I mean, it's just totally rotating around us. You know. But we all seem to kind of hang in here. I think it's partially because of the location, and because they're good, solid business.
Yeah.
You know, Shiko's a great Japanese restaurant. Dan does a great job with Northwest Art. And William goes without saying.
Are there pressures for you to raise rents because of what else is happening elsewhere?
Well,
And you
there
have to
will
fend
be.
it out?
There will be, because I think taxes will go up as they see what kind of rents they're getting across the street.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are getting quite a bit more than we're charging. I mean, we're not going to turn around and crank the rent up. But you'll feel like you probably should. It's gonna. I think rents for houses in West Seattle are going to go up because of all this. Because if you can get a studio for $12.50 and you're renting a 3-bedroom house for $12.50, it's like, well, wait a minute here.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So it's going to change, I think.
Is there, do you have people, not just, I'm not talking about the tenant relationship, I'm talking about people who want to buy? Do people come and say, I want to buy this and build up?
Oh, there's been that for years.
And
Even before that first one went up, there was people wanting to.
so what keeps you from keeping it this low-rise character? Or what keeps you keeping it that? What?
Well, I don't know. It's not my thing. You know, I'm not saying it'll never happen, but I've never really been interested in a big, huge building. But you know, it is changing. We'll have to see. You know, whatever it takes to keep us here, we will do. I mean, there is, being that you own the building, you could go up and write yourself a sweetheart deal and stay underneath. That kind of thing. Oops, is it supposed to be open? Oh, it's here. Yeah. But, you know, I love the Junction the way it is. I would be thrilled if nothing ever happened.
So that, so then we're asking, what do you feel makes the junction special? What are the pieces in
Well, I think it's the merchants, and the merchants make it special.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that they actually own their businesses and they're here, and you can go down the street and see them. I mean, we have such great relationships with all of them. I mean, Elliott Bay borrows wine from us. We borrow pita bread from them. They keep kegs in their cooler at the Summerfest. William stores half of his baked stuff in our back room. Mashiko's keeps all his stuff because he's such a tiny place. He uses our back room too. And then we get a great deal on sushi. I mean, it all works out. It's just a big family thing. You know, if Matt throws the thing down the street, he borrows a bunch of chafing dishes from me. I mean, we all work together. And it's such a great bunch of people, which I think makes it fun.
So the merchants and the businesses and the business owners are a leader in what make the Junction special.
I think so. It's not the perfect mix of business. I mean, if you were to say, hey, you know, let's map this all out and put exactly what we need here, this would probably not be it. But the people actually run their businesses, and it's actually a fun place. And it's kind of a weird little mix, but it's a cool one. And you know, if you ever were a business owner and you did have an empty building, it would be hard not to rent to somebody when they came along and said, I want to rent. It'd be like, well, you're not the right person. We want something different. You can't wait around for that to happen if you're barely making it, you know. So that's how some of this stuff comes in, I think.
Yeah.
As a business landlord, unless you got a whole bunch of money to sit around and wait for the right person to come along, you might end up with something you didn't really want. But I think it's such a great, the fact that makes a Junction cool is all the little places, you know, especially the next block, you know, all the little stores.
Up there?
Yeah, there's so many different little stores.
Yeah.
And we've got, you know, the Great Harvest and the, you know, the Pharmaca and all the little stuff here too. And it was neat that Arts West moved into the Junction, gave us a little artistic stuff, and it helped the restaurants a ton, whether they admit it or not. It's helped them a bunch. Restaurants used to come and go, and they don't anymore.
No.
You know, I think a lot of it's, you know, you got a place to get dressed up and wear your furs and go out to a play and go out to dinner.
You don't go to the play without going to dinner.
No, you don't. No.
No.
The one thing that the changes have been, the big change I think is that it's really hard to make it with anything other than a restaurant anymore. And that might be a big thing here. You see it in Ballard, you know, every stitch and knit and every travel agent now is a restaurant and a bar. And that's likely to happen because there's going to be a whole bunch of hungry people that don't cook. Careful what I say here. You know what I mean? Because they get off work, they've been working too much. They had to park 10 blocks away. They're not going to walk back to their car and go drive out to dinner. They're going to go walking around here and get something to eat.
Well, that's part of why they live here, is because they can just walk out their front door and
Right.
have all businesses.
Right. And because it's a fun little neighborhood. And when I've talked to some of them, it's Lincoln Park, it's Alki Beach, it's Smith's Park, it's all the great walks. That's not around the city other than here, you know, not this nice. And you know, you see little kids and strollers, and West Yale has turned into a young family community. It really has. Look, think of the street fairs, think of the fall festival. Harvest Festival,
Yeah.
man, it was, I mean, I was like, where do all these kids and these people come from? Well, they all moved here. And the older folks, as they retire, it's all replaced by young families, which I mean, if you were a young family, you'd want to live in West Seattle.
For sure.
So are there challenges of being a property owner or a
There are.
merchant in the Junction?
I don't know if it's any separate challenge, maybe any more than anywhere else. the challenge is to adapt to what's happening, you know, and I'm going to try to do it without turning the store upside down, you know. I don't want it to change the Husky, but I do want to be able to handle it. I have to be able to handle more people
To volumes.
that are going to get food to eat now. In the past, we were in the 70s and 80s and 90s. We sold so much lunch meat. I had big trucks parked in the alley delivering cases of lunch meat. But we've changed now. We're making sandwiches. We're not. I mean, the numbers are still the same, but it's just a different kind of income. And there's a really nice deli and cheese department in QFC and Oregon Thriftway and Admiral, what do you call it, Metro Market. Safeways even have a good one. And now we got Whole Foods coming, and we just picked up Trader Joe's. So the future for me is not selling lunch meat and cheese by the pound, even though I still have it. We're still cheap. That's not my future. At least not.
But you
with
have the
all
specialties also, which is
the specialty stuff. And my wife Heidi has done that,
Yeah.
and she's been looking to get things that nobody has, which has been fun for her. And I think she's done a great job. And she really is good. I mean, she loves it.
She takes a lot of pride in it, too.
Yeah, and it's such a treat to have her here. Besides, she understands me better.
than the others.
Well, she used to be hard for her. Whenever I walk around, take a walk in Lincoln Park, I run into everybody, and they all want to talk to me. She was like, "Why can't we just take a walk?" And now she totally gets it. Totally gets it. You know, I mean, I love these people, and so does she. So it's different when you see someone you know and you talk to, and you can't just walk by them. And, you know,
So did Heidi only start working in the store a couple of years ago?
just like 2 years ago, she was a nurse for 30 years.
Oh, okay.
I can see that.
She's
Yes.
a great nurse.
Yes.
Yeah. We used to get flowers and gift cards all the time. You know, gift certificates to go out to dinner and stay at the Olympic Hotel and all kinds of stuff.
Thank you.
Because she's so soft and gentle, they just loved her.
You can
I can't blame
understand
them.
So, given all of this, what characteristics of the Junction are worth promoting or preserving as we adapt to the newer development?
I think we just try to keep, save the good businesses we have and try to help the ones that are, coming up, or the little ones, the ones that, in the next block, there's a ton of little places. And I think they actually will do well too with this. The gift shop that's right next to,
Sure does.
yeah, Tur Young's will do well. I mean, just because it's a funky little place, and they're going to eat that up, I think. Because that's so not Bellevue.
That is not Bellevue.
Yeah. And Capers, I think, will all of a sudden do well. Sleepers in Seattle is selling hide beds like they're going out of style. I mean, what would you get when you were living in one of these? If you want a friend over, either they sleep on the floor or they sleep in a hide bed.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So, I mean, he got into the right thing at the right time.
So
Yeah.
keep the businesses that we have and help the new ones coming up
Yeah.
that fit in.
Yeah.
You know,
I think they will adjust to what works. You hate to lose any of them, but I think, if they can just hang in there through all this, they will all do well.
What about the buildings themselves? What role do they play in drawing people here and creating the character that you're saying is
Well,
special?
our funky old buildings are the character of the Junction, pretty much. You're not going to, in these new places, you're not going to see the Tur Youngs or Camellias or whatever, They're going to be designed to suit the people that are living upstairs, kind of. Like the Chipotle's all these new people are going to love that. I've never seen one. I don't even know what they do. But they're going to be perfect for these guys, I think. And the Starbucks on the corner, I mean, they'll be busy.
So you're saying that the funky old buildings and the
Could be a cool mix.
and the merchants, it's like soup and sandwich. You don't have one without the other.
Right. I think that these bottoms of these buildings will fill up with places that they know they will need, because they wouldn't go in there unless they thought they were going to make money. And I don't think they'll necessarily butt heads with what we've got already. I mean, going to a Jack's Grill or a West 5 or Easy Street for breakfast, that's not going to happen in any of these little places. I mean, in these new buildings. It's going to be a mix of the old and new, and I think that's going to make it real attractive here, I think.
When we started off on this project, we were thinking about like trying to capture what is special about the Junction. What are those individual pieces that we can identify and name, and then even as new development occurs, try and weave those into it so we can have some continuity. I think what I've heard from you is that one of the things that makes the Junction special is the small retail spaces. So you can have that idea of, cozy little shops.
Right.
And so that's an interesting. It's even as simple as the square footage of the spaces within the shop. And the Wolf Building, they've got those 2 spaces next to Chipotle, which are 1,000 square feet. So
It'll be interesting to see what goes in there.
Maybe
it will be.
The nooks and crannies can continue.
They could, depending on the rent. That's the thing. If you're in the building like Azuma's is, and it's, they're not the greatest buildings, and they don't even go halfway back to the alley. The rent's got to be reasonable, And I think after talking to these developers, the retail's not as important as the housing. I mean, the retail is kind of a pain in the butt. They don't really want to deal with that. They just want to make all this money off this rent. So you may find them giving deals to people, and you might find people, young people starting their businesses in these things. We'll wait and see. I know they got big rent on the corner where Starbucks was, like record downtown rent up here. I mean, Bradley. I don't know how they're going to do it, but Starbucks doesn't care.
At all costs, they want the corner.
Yeah.
So we've got other corners in the Junction that are the funky old buildings, as you say.
I know, and those are okay.
How do
the senior
we
center and the coin shop,
Yeah.
and all these little phone shops and this and that.
So how do we keep those buildings?
I think the reason they'll stay is there's so many different owners. Like our 2 owners across the street, Steve Athens,
And Dr. Yee?
Dr. Yee, Steve Athens, and Danny's brother. All of them. I mean, when they wanted to put the crane, they offered them like $60,000 to run the crane over in their airspace. They all said no. I would have said, hey, thanks, I'm going to Hawaii. You know what I mean? And it didn't even affect anything. They probably ran their cranes over the building anyway. But, these people are like...
We look forward to interviewing Steve Athens.
He's a classic.
Yeah. Do you see that in the owners of the other buildings, like where the Cupcake Place or
I'm not
Easy
sure.
Street? Or
I know Matt tried to buy his building.
Yeah.
Me and Tim worked with him trying to get him.
Yeah.
Friend of mine, Tim, and it's a trust. And
Tim
they weren't-
Bieran?
No, Beaver.
Beaver.
And
Bieran.
they
Bieran.
didn't budge. He had an idea to put a hotel above it, call it Hotel California, and all that. And it would have been cool. Just a little 20-room hotel.
That idea's still alive, right?
Oh yeah, but I mean they're not
On top of a record store? Well,
I think
perfect.
ton of noise, especially when they have their concerts.
A lot of atmosphere.
Yeah, a rooftop concert. How's that?
You'd probably fill it with people that would go to the concert. Yeah. But yeah, no, there's still a chance. I think we can keep the Junction funky and cool. I think.
You're optimistic
I
about
am.
it.
Yeah.
So you don't think that the likelihood is that what happened on the corner where Starbucks is going in is going to happen on the other corners?
No, I don't think so. Not for years. You know, I don't think. There's too many different little people, you know, involved in it. Somebody's going to have to come along and offer them way too much money, and they're going to have to take it. You know, a lot of these guys, like Steve, Athens, I think if you offered him a whole bunch of money, he would just say, "Get out of here, I don't want to talk to you." You know what I mean? I always said if you had him in front of a firing squad with no blindfold and they said, "Sign here or I'll shoot," he'd say, "Shoot." You know, I mean, that's just the way it is. Same with Kostakis and all these different guys are just like, that's what I'm saying. Junction property is precious stuff.
So it doesn't. It's like the owners are their own landmark.
Right.
You're saying that they are going to protect those buildings because they know that that's the core.
Well, and if you sell your place in the Junction, if you don't take that money and put it into something similar, you pay a bunch of tax. You do any commercial building like that, you do. And the thought of like buying an apartment house in White Center or something, it's not appealing. Not when you've had Junction property. Same. I know you're living on the beach now, but you can get a really nice house in Beacon Hill. You'd be like, no, you know, we're in the Junction. We're right where we want to be. There's nowhere else we'd rather be.
One of the phrases I've been using when I've been trying to explain this is, and the things that you said in the Juno video is yeah, we've got the new, but we hope it doesn't kill the old, and you feel like the cement truck is coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can't stop it from coming.
But
you can.
But one of the things I've been saying is you don't want to kill the golden goose that brought everybody here.
No, and if you hold up too much, downtown West Seattle is going to move down to where Whole Foods is, or it's going to move to Morgan, or it's going to move to. I mean, this is downtown West Seattle. I think it's going to. I mean, this is going to bring stuff here.
So it's important to have the mix.
I think the mix. I always said years ago that this was the sacrificial lamb across the street because there's only a few owners out there. And you know, when Charlie Connor bought it, you knew that it was going up.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest threat. On record.
You can come back.
Yeah.
I'll make a note for you to finish your sentence.
Yeah. No, but I think the Junction in foreseeable future will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of all the little places and the little landmarks. You know, they're not going to all go, let's all get together and sell our place. Because to build one of these things, you have to have 150 feet of street. If you don't have that, it doesn't pencil. That when you have to put an elevator shaft in, you got to put plant parking underneath. I mean, yeah. Even if you can go 85 feet, if you don't have across the street, Talarico's I don't know if that's big enough to even do something.
Well, Leon's managing to put a 7-story building on a 6,000 square foot property.
Where is
Leon.
that going to be?
It's right next to our parking lot on 42nd and Oregon, right on the corner. 7 stories on, I think it's like 6250.
You mean where the old big house was?
Yeah, with the giant hedge.
Oh,
7 stories.
is that zoned for that? I guess it must be.
Or maybe not 7 stories.
You mean where that little alley goes
Yeah.
and turns? It's
Right across
uphill.
from the old good book, where the tattoo parlor is.
Oh, over there.
Yeah. Right across from the Anglers too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a city lot, so he's maxing
Oh, at the
it.
end of the parking lot there,
Mhm.
where the big hedge and there's something in there you don't know what it is.
It's a house. The hedge in the house.
Wow,
You learn something new every day, Jack.
man, I can't keep up with it.
Skinny development is what
Yeah.
you're saying. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you go on the west side of Vancouver, west end. It's towers everywhere you look. There's a little random house here and there, but otherwise it's just towers.
High density.
Yeah, high density. We are becoming a big city. People are moving here. They're gonna love it to death if we're not careful. You know, it happened on Basho a lot. People move over there, they drive down the road, they see a white fence and a horse, they think, I want to live here. So they buy a piece of property right next to it, build a big street of dreams house, live there for a year, and move out. You know, it happens. That's hit them hard, I think.
It's what?
It's hit Vashon kind of hard. A lot of that.
Yeah.
Do you use the junction, your junction location as an advantage when you're advertising?
You know, I don't really advertise. I never really have.
I mean,
Okay.
his location is the advertisement in the
Well, I
window.
mean, we donate to the schools and the churches,
That's a
which
form
is
of
my
advertising.
advertising.
Yeah.
You know, because we try to be advertising. We've done a little bit in the Herald, but
Yeah.
I'm not really into that.
Do you own property elsewhere outside the junction?
No, my brother Joe does.
Okay.
He's got a place in Berry and a place in Renton.
How does that compare to here? In
It's
terms
just
of-
income.
Okay.
It's not necessarily
Not hard.
not hard. It's income.
Okay.
You know, you would never open a store yourself there.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you want to be. But it's a good income generator for both of them. You know, I still think the Junction's the greatest place on the planet.
Throwing down.
You got family coming up who are going to take over
Yeah,
for you?
there's right now we have
Who is-
14 Miller relatives working here.
14 Millers spanning
Like
2 generations.
Teresa's kids, Madeline's kids, Mimi's kids, our kids. We've got Joe's kid, one of his kids working with us. Well, we got my cousin's kids. You know, we're thick.
You have some good odds.
Yeah, no, and they're all great kids and they're all great workers, and they care,
Mm-hmm.
which is really nice. You know, there's still teenagers that want to go to parties and stuff. You know,
But
they're-
you've taught them well.
but we have, and they're really good. And we're hoping that this will help, just to get us through until we can do something else. We'll see how it works once it happens. Because
Can you describe what's happening now here? I mean,
what I'm doing is I have two bars to make sandwiches, and at lunch we're 3 deep there trying to make a sandwich, and it's too busy. I got 2 grills, and there's 10 sandwiches waiting for the grills, and it slows it down. And I think a lot of people just won't come here because of that. And I think if we make it a little faster, it's going to be easier to move people through quicker.
expand your capacity.
Our paninis are really good.
Yeah.
You know, and they're real popular. But it's
Time to open.
yeah, we are open.
I think we are, and I think we're done, aren't we, Susan?
Yeah.
Hey there.
Jack, this is great.
Oh, I hope it's okay.
Thank you.
Did I do all right?
Oh, are you kidding me? You did wonderfully well. You can keep that if you want.
Okay.
That was
Can I keep this?
only if you take another one.
Okay, good.
There you go. They're great pens. People like the way they feel.
I do. I
They
feel
got that little rubber thing that
Yeah.
makes they don't slip around.
Yeah.
So, what's the tearing it off, Clay?
All right.